Good day, my name is Scott Kinney with Discovery Education, and this is our One Idea series. Today, it is my pleasure to be joined by Dr. Randy Hansen. My pleasure in a few ways. Randy and I were colleagues in a former life a few years back, but incredible to hear from Dr. Hansen today as the Program Chair for Instructional Technology at the University of Maryland University College, as well as donates some of his time to ISTE as the President of the Teacher Education Network. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that effort. But one of the great things about Dr. Hansen, not only does he come from higher ed, but he also is rooted in the K-12 environment as well. Started his career as an ESOL teacher in Prince George's County, has been a technology director, so really a great expert in bridging that connection between what's going on in K-12 classrooms and how we prepare teachers for today. So Dr. Hansen, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy to be here.
So could you talk a little bit about your work with the Teacher Education Network and what you're doing at ISTE and what you're trying to accomplish there?
Yeah, I'd love to. So with the Teacher Education Network, we are a professional learning community within ISTE. We have roughly 4,000 members, international, and the goal is to really bring more innovation to how we prepare tomorrow's educators. We do professional development, with communications, networking. We're really trying to figure out how that we can bring what we're doing in higher ed to K-12 and what's really going on in the K-12 classroom in terms of technology integration back into higher education.
So how do you go about that process, aside from your own expertise, because you've lived a little in both worlds? What does that process look like to try and bridge that gap?
Well, right now, what we're finding is that the teacher prep programs, there is innovation. We are changing. There is a misconception around the world that it's pretty stagnant, and that's not true. So one of the first things we want to do is really highlight the fact that teacher prep programs are changing. We are evolving. We are working to infuse more technology into how we prepare teachers. But if you look at ISTE, what ISTE is very well known for is their technology standards. Right? We have technology standards for students. There are standards for teachers, administrators, and tech coaches, all focused around K-12. And these standards have really changed the way teachers are teaching and learning today. They've really allowed teachers to have a guideline to help focus on how to effectively use technology in the classroom. Now, on the other hand, we don't have those same guidelines for higher ed faculty. And so one of the things that we're really looking to do this year is develop a set of competencies or guidelines for higher ed faculty, very specific for higher education on how they can effectively use technology to prepare tomorrow's teachers. And a lot of this really focuses on modeling and use of technology in the classroom.
Excellent. And are you tapping into the K-12 teachers to actually help that process along?
Absolutely. One of the things that we really firmly believe is that we should not be doing this in isolation. It is a concerted effort with K-12 education. Last year at the ISTE conference in Philadelphia in last June, ISTE held a higher education summit where they brought together current higher ed faculty, superintendents from around the country, and some current graduates, some current students as well as graduates from teacher programs to really talk about how to bring about this change and innovation in higher ed. And so where we're developing these competencies, we're also sharing them with superintendents to get their feedback on what they're looking for in terms of new teachers coming out of programs. And we're getting feedback from current graduates on what they learned in their program and how that differs from what they're actually doing once they hit the classroom. And we're going to bring all that together to help finalize our drafts.
So I would imagine that a lot of this has to focus on the instructional strategies. But when you think about the technology itself, I would think one of the difficulties you must run into is that you're kind of planning for an environment that you don't know, right? I mean, there's a lot of disparity among institutions in K-12 and the type of classroom that a teacher might arrive to coming out of, say, a program like yours. How do you plan for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a concern, and a large portion of higher ed's discussion is, you're preparing for teachers for an environment for tomorrow. Here is kind of like our best practices on what we know about instructional strategies using technology, yet they might go into a classroom where they have absolutely no technology. So that is a concern, and that is something we're working on. But we're also making sure that we are preparing them for that eventuality when they do have a full set of technology at their hands. One of the issues with that is really being able to demonstrate for them what effective uses of technology look like in a K-12 classroom. So in addition to these competencies for higher ed faculty so that they can model tech integration, we're creating a series of video vignettes, a library, if you will, of effective uses of technology in the classroom. And we're trying to develop them for P to 16, so from pre-K all the way up until the students are graduating from college, at every grade level and for every content area. Because it's important to know how to use technology, but it's also very important to know how to use technology for your specific content area. And so we can use these video vignettes as a framework or a foundation to start the discussions with pre-service teachers. Here's what it looks like in the classroom. How can you tailor it to your own teaching and learning?
So, in your own program, I'm curious, what are some of those learning technologies that you're looking at incorporating that may be relatively new to the field?
Great question. We're always looking for better ways to support inquiry-based learning, where students can be actively engaged in manipulating content and ideas, and then being able to use technology to demonstrate understanding as they apply those new ideas. So some of the current projects, obviously, for our demonstrations, we have a lot of students creating screencasts, which is old technology, but how you use them in new and innovative ways is different. Instead of just passively having teachers create a screencast, they can insert different discussion questions and problem questions for students to look at. And this really supports kind of that flipped classroom model.
So, Dr. Hansen, if I want to learn more about the video vignettes and your work at ISTE, or if I want to learn more about your program, where would I go to find more information?
Well, for ISTE, it's best to go to ISTE.org. It's just ISTE.org. And for here, our instructional technology program, it's umuc.edu.
Great. Dr. Randy Hansen, Program Chair for Instructional Technology and also running the Teacher Education Network at ISTE. Dr. Hansen, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Great, Scott. Thanks for having me.